Cathy Thomas. Longtime Orange County chef Michael Campbell joins me to share his Yellowtail ceviche, paired with coconut leche de tigre, lime, honey, and pickled zucchini. He recently opened Capas at Stanton's Food Hall. Rodeo 39, an eatery focused on ceviche and tacos. A second Capas will open at River Street Marketplace in San Juan Capistrano. Chef, your ceviche makes my heart sing.
Makes my heart sing as well. Nothing like some fresh fish, some lime, cilantro, onion.
And we're working with Yellowtail today.
Yeah, we got a beautiful yellowtail from Pelican Fish Market down in Oceanside. They caught it about 50 miles off the coast. Real beautiful fish.
Oh man, look at that. And you're gonna fillet out that baby?
Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a couple fillets off here, clean it all up, take the skin off, and then I'll show you how we make the ceviche up at Capas with one of the yellowtail loins. When butchering a fish like this, I always start up right behind the gill and make a little incision and just kind of trace along to the back of the head and then down the spine, right above this fin, right above that fin. And then I make a little incision on the tail here. I love smoking the carcasses as well. Getting that meat
yes,
off the tail and behind the neck.
And I know your knife is nice and sharp.
It is quite a sharp blade, yeah. You want one that's nice and thick to get through the bones, no problem, but also very sharp. Probably don't want to do it with your thin Japanese blades. Up here, you're gonna get a little more resistance, some of the thicker bone. And then as we get down to the tail of the fish, they become a little more pliable. So we got one side right here.
Beautiful.
Now, if we're preparing this fish hot, I love keeping the skin on. So much nutrition, so much flavor. The oils, I mean, it makes the fish for me. But in the ceviche, a little harder to digest. Okay, so we'll set the skin off to the side. We want to take the bloodline and the bones out at the same time. The bones you're taking out for obvious reasons, but you want to make sure you get that whole bloodline out because after it sits on the acid especially, it picks up this irony flavor that'll kind of dominate the ceviche, and you don't want to have to explain that to your guests.
No.
Okay. We're going to cut this in half because it's a little easier to work with. And you just work your way up the fish. We do some shrimp ceviche as well. You could substitute the fish for shrimp if you like, a little less butchery required for that.
Do you have a favorite?
Whatever came out of the water that day.
Got it.
As it becomes more difficult to get sustainably caught fish, I think it's a chef's responsibility to kind of find those responsible alternatives. I love displaying this fish in thin slices, but a lot of people like to dice it up as well. It's really your own preference there.
Why do you think you like those thin slices?
I just love to be able to see the grains of the fish. I mean, to me, it's beautiful. When you're working with such fresh fish, you want to keep it as close to the original form as possible, maybe. Maybe it's so I can get more fish in my mouth, each scoop on the chip, you know?
I like your style.
Yeah, right? Now we're ready to place it in the bowl and cure it with a little lime juice. And what we've got here is about 24 ounces maybe of yellowtail.
Fresh lime juice.
Yeah, I did it just before I came here. You got to do it right away. I was going to juice them all by hand, but I figured I'd get some juice in your eye, my eye. So we're going to put about a cup of lime juice in here. When I go down to Mexico on ceviche tasting trips, I love the lime, I love the citrus. I wish there was something that I could balance it out with a little bit. So I add a little bit of honey in there. What I have is some locally sourced honey. What I don't want to do is make the fish sweet, right? All I'm doing here is adding enough honey to take some of that bite off all that juice.
It gives it a really nice balance.
Exactly. The name Capas is Spanish for layers. My cooking has always been about layers of flavor, paying attention to every little bit. And when you're stripping down the cuisine, so far as what we do with Capas, where it's ceviche, salsas, and smoked meat tacos. You really want to focus on every element. As every good chef will tell you, I mean, part of our craft is balancing these things out and starting from every little layer of the cooking process to build the flavors. So even though this is a raw preparation, that's exactly what we're doing here.
That's right.
Building the flavors. Usually I like to let this sit for about 5 minutes, but this is more of a Peruvian style ceviche, and it's ready to go. As soon as that lime juice hits that fresh fish, also minced up half of an onion. We call this pickle de gallo. So I get a little local zucchini. There's a little turmeric in there, mustard seed, mustard powder, a little honey in there as well, some onions. We give it the flavor of pico de gallo, but we use fresh zucchini.
I think it's genius.
Clove of garlic. I know some people who use that stuff out of the jar in the refrigerator. I implore you, that is not the way to go on this. If you can't mince it up super fine like this, then use a microplane. You just grate it right on in there.
So it's paper thin.
Paper thin. We're gonna put about a half of a jalapeno in here. I love adding jalapenos. We get these grown at a local farm as well. You can kind of taste the earthiness of them. But if you like it a little bit hotter, go for those serranos.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a step up.
Yeah. Too much for me. I learned about stopping the cooking of the lime juice when I was 20 years old working under this French guy. We did a scallop ceviche, and we'd always let it sit for 10 minutes, and then we'd hit it with a little coconut milk.
And that stops that process.
Exactly. I take a little avocado, and I kind of make a little mash into there.
So you're using the avocado to thicken the sauce?
Absolutely. It's a lot of times when I go out to a ceviche place and I've got a little tortilla chip and I dip it in and I get a piece of fish, and then all that beautiful leche de tigre is still sitting in the bowl, and I feel weird drinking the fish juice out of the bowl in a restaurant, but
you have my permission.
yeah, I do it anyway. But yeah, that's kind of the whole thought behind adding the avocado in there. And then the last thing we'll want to do is, if you're making this at home and you're waiting for your guests, you want to add the cilantro at the last minute. I find that it kind of loses potency after a couple of hours.
And you've made a little bundle so that you can chop it just right.
Absolutely. So we're trying to get a little chiffonade here. And what we don't want to do is go over it more than once. So if I had a time machine, I'd go back and probably throw that salt in right around the same time we put that lime juice in. But you know what?
It's going to be fine.
Never too late. Yeah. We'll go ahead and plate it up.
Plate it up.
Is that all right? And I like to finish it up with a little bit of this pickle de gallo as well.
Oh, it's beautiful. Chef, I really appreciate your time and your talent.
I always love coming here and cooking with you. It's a blast.
Thank you, Chef.
Yeah, thank you.
Here's a quick tip from Melissa's. Firecracker cantaloupe is a perfect example of a dish that excites more than one area of the palate. It blends the cool sweetness of the melon with sour lime and spicy hot chili syrup. Oh, and the herbal personality of fresh mint. Yum. Make some sugar syrup. Stir and set it aside to cool. Cut the bottom and top ends off and stand it up. Cut off the rind. Seed it. Then cut into narrow wedges. Add lime juice, mint, red bell pepper, and chopped serrano chili to the sugar syrup, and spoon it over the melon wedges. Use it as a side dish with meat, fish, or poultry, or serve it as a first course accompanied by prosciutto. Substitute watermelon or honeydew for the cantaloupe. Get the recipe at cathythomascooks.com.